Hello and welcome to the Geeks Review. I'm Royce.
I'm Paige.
I'm Matt.
Welcome to the show, used to. New introductions, or you probably heard them last week.
Hi, I'm Matt. I am an actor and a musician. If you want to check out my music on YouTube, search for The Matt Paris. Matt with two T's, Paris with two R's. The Matt Paris, and on Facebook as well, Matt Paris, composer, producer, musician, and yeah, that's me.
All round cool dude.
Oh, that's cute.
And Paige.
So I'm Paige. I'm a Hufflepuff, Harry Potter nerd, probably to the extreme, sitting here with my half Harry Potter tattoo sleeve. And I don't really have any socials that I speak much of Harry Potter on, so probably will avoid those.
But you're also my sister.
Yes, that's true.
That's why you're here.
Also.
Yeah, also.
Not just someone that he's dragged off the street.
Like me.
Yes. So today we're talking about Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. This is a spin-off to the Harry Potter film series, a return to the film series, an original production written by the author and directed by David Yates, who went and directed the final 4 Harry Potter films, who's now launched into this one. They're set in the 1920s and they focus upon Newt Scamander, played by Eddie Redmayne, a magic zoologist who has travelled to New York City to deliver an endangered magical creature to its natural habitat. And along the way he stumbles into trouble and strife and various other magical institutions in the city, as well as an evil Dark Lord plotting world domination or something behind the scenes. We're also going to talk about the sequel, which is The Crimes of Grindelwald, came out a few years afterwards. We figured now was the best time to really talk about it. And before we do, we just sort of want to talk a bit about our own Harry Potter experiences and sort of discuss what it is we like.
It really was probably one of the first book series that I read. Obviously, with you being the older sibling, Mum would read Harry Potter to you and the books were always in the house. And then it was around about the time that the movies started coming out, as I was able to watch and understand movies as such. And it was just, I was one of the lucky ones who got to really grow up with Harry Potter alongside you as well. So I was at that kind of age where Harry Potter was.
My earliest memory of Harry Potter is Voldemort's face on the back of Quirrell's head. And it scared the heck out of me.
Oh yeah.
And I wouldn't touch Harry Potter for a few more years after that, until in grade 2 my teacher read the first 3 books to my class.
Same here, actually.
Yeah. And then I got back into it there. Never been a super fan, but I like it.
For me, my memory is sort of more aligned with the games. Classic Harry Potter, Sorcerer's Stone on the PS1 with the horrible low poly character models.
Do you call it the Sorcerer's Stone?
It was the Sorcerer's Stone on the PS1, but it is the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. I was also a big Harry Potter Lego fan, and I was absolutely loving when they started to re-release those sets. And I sort of fell off once the final book came out because I thought, well, that's it. You know, there's not going to be any more. And I wasn't too happy with the films, if I admit.
Really?
I really think it went downhills with the 5th film. The 3rd film was perhaps my favourite. Alfonso Cuarón, who went on to direct films like Gravity and Roma.
I think the majority of people, the 3rd is their favourite.
Yeah.
It's the only one that doesn't have Voldemort in it.
I mean, you got a great cast in that.
Yeah. Oh, Gary Oldman. Wow.
But Fantastic Beasts is a spin-off, and it's quite interesting that we've gone and got these original films set within the wizarding world, not inspired by or adapting any pre-existing material. I mean, there is a Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them book, but it's purely like a...
Yeah, it's been described as it is based off of the guidebook. Oh, it was Quidditch Through the Ages was the other one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a double pack that was released back in the early 2000s for Comic Relief, and it was like written as if they were in-universe. They gave like, you know, lore dumps and all, you know.
Well, that'll be the next spin-off.
Oh, and they'll probably, you know, tie in some, you know, Wizard Hitler into that one as well.
But yeah, that's basically what they decided to run, and that's what it's described as, is the movie is based off of that guidebook that came out.
Yeah, so it is 1926 and Newt Scamander has travelled to New York City and he comes across a wizarding aura, Tina, and her sister, Queenie Goldstein, as well as a muggle, a non-magical person, Jacob Kowalski. And as they're going on this adventure, there is, like I said, something dark bubbling behind the scenes. There's this dark aura, Percival Graves, played by Colin Farrell, Really good performance, it should be said, as well as this...
It's Colin Farrell.
It's Colin Farrell. And there's also this mysterious young man, Credence, played by...
Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller, that's the one
The
we need
Flash.
to talk about.
Oh, wait, not The Flash. Oh,
Not
wait,
The
The Flash.
This was a film that really reignited my interest and love of Harry Potter. Like I said, I kind of went off those final films a bit. They just became really dark and really depressing. I think The Half-Blood Prince was like the worst offender because it's basically a black and white movie. There's
Yes.
just so little colour.
I remember hating that.
Took me a few guys to watch it in full, to be honest.
Really, it is a rough watch, and then they had the big finale where everything sort of came together, and I think
Voldemort turned into moths.
Thanos went and clicked his fingers and he disintegrated. I think the bits with Newt in this film are really fantastic, but I think it sort of gets bogged down in this whole sort of conspiracy involving the Dark Wizard Grindelwald, played by Johnny Depp, and spoiler alert, Colin Farrell is actually Grindelwald in disguise, and he's been, doing the awesome thing for the entire film, and then at the end you've gone and dumped with a rather shockingly hideous Johnny Depp as Grindelwald, who's very strange looking, and it's just purely set up for the next film.
Yeah.
It was quite funny, actually, after rewatching Fantastic Beasts, I was like, oh, it is so obvious that Graves is Grindelwald. First of all, they didn't even change the first two letters of the names. So that sort of became a bit obvious. But it was just little things, and they had the same kind of... Well, obviously they did, but they had the same kind of beliefs and knowledge and...
Hairstyles.
passions. That too.
I remember
One was a
seeing
bit
it in
more
the
bottle
cinema,
blonde.
and he's gone and got like the Deathly Hallows pendant, just like
Yes.
sitting bold as brass. It's like 6 feet across on the cinema screen, and it's like you can't not notice it. And you're like, oh, you're Grindelwald, right?
Yeah, so I think watching it back, it became quite obvious that Graves was Grindelwald, and there were sort of things that popped up at the end once you'd seen the end and you knew the ending, and then also watched the second one. You go, oh, okay, that makes a bit more sense.
I think you can say that for anything that has a reveal. I mean,
True.
It depends. It depends how clever the reveal is. Like, can I spoil The Sixth Sense? Has it been long enough yet?
yeah, sure.
Like with The Sixth Sense, it's
see dead
part
people.
it's part of the magic of that film, because it's revealed at the end that Bruce Willis was actually dead. If you go back and watch the film, the only character he ever speaks to and whoever speaks back to him is the boy. It feels natural because it's shot like he's just interacting with people, but you'll notice he never shares dialogue with anyone else, and that's clever foreshadowing.
Yes.
And then you have some reveals like Vader, where that plot development wasn't written until many years after the first film came out.
Yeah.
Where there literally is no foreshadowing except for in the film where it comes out.
Look, people crap on the prequels and sequels, but Luke, I am your father is a little bit lame.
Well, he says, no, I am your father. Not Luke, I am your father.
Doesn't he say, no, Luke, I am your father?
No, he just says, no, I am your father.
Whoa, it's the
Mandela effect.
Mandela effect.
But yeah, for Fantastic Beasts, which is why we're here. Well, going into the sequel, Grindelwald, he's quite a prominent character in that. I mean, he was before, but it was the whole, shape changing. It's actually Colin Farrell playing the role instead of Johnny Depp.
Yeah, he was.
And from this, it's just Johnny Depp.
Which is a strange choice. It's an awkward storytelling choice.
Yeah,
Like in the real world, like if you put yourself in the real world, the wizard world, like you would be looking at one person and then it turned into another person. But as the audience of a story, it's kind of
Odd.
It feels unsatisfying because you've been following the Colin Farrell character. I mean, I would have liked it if either cast Johnny Depp or cast Colin Farrell, and when the polyjuice wears off, like the hair changes colour and the eye comes out, but it's still the same actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I guess it goes back to with MadEye Moody and...
Goblet of Fire, yeah.
Yeah, Goblet of Fire.
Brendan Gleeson turning into David Tennant.
Yeah. So I guess, and I mean, it
Well,
really
that
does
was,
happen when any polyjuice potion happens.
That was a different sort of thing, though, because you went and established, MadEye Moody. He's, a good, trustworthy character. And then you go and are introduced to that character of Barty Crouch, played by David Tennant. And then at the end, when you learn, oh, wait, MadEye Moody is actually, he's been locked away all this time in the real MadEye. And the MadEye we thought was the MadEye was actually David Tennant. So that works.
But then, this has always bugged me. In the fifth film, it's like we know MadEye already, but we
Yeah.
haven't met him.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say with this. It's like there's such a focus on Grindelwald in the sequel, and I'm like, who are you? I don't. Why? I mean, I know who Grindelwald is, but I don't like have that
All
connection.
we
I'm
really
like,
know
oh,
is that he's a bad guy, and he's going around doing things, but there's not even really an establishment of why he's doing it. As you said when you're introducing the films, is he wanting world domination, or is he wanting something? I mean, it is then spoken about in the second film.
well, it's more of that. It sort of feels like he's a newcomer to it, but then you're like, oh wait, he's been there all along. He just was played by Colin Farrell.
I think as well, the fact that he wasn't revealed until the last 20 minutes of the film, and then
He's only got 10
Last
seconds.
20 seconds.
Yeah, but then I guess and you're kind of trying to process it. There was such a gap between the films. I think it was 2 or 3 years until the next one then came out. And before I went and saw Crimes at Grindelwald, I had to go back and watch the first movie again because I was like, hang on a second, what really happened? And I'm glad I did, because otherwise I would have been very confused.
And you're the fan. You know all this stuff.
Like,
Yeah.
if you're going to tell a story about, like, to go back to Star Wars, we've been following Darth Vader for the first 2 films, and we find out that he's Luke's father, and then in Return of the Jedi, that's half the plot. So, but it still feels, it's the same character. We feel development for that character. But when you go from one actor, essentially, because it's Grindelwald in disguise playing someone else. So it's a different character, but we should be able to follow the journey of this character, and it's just so tricky.
Yeah, I think if maybe the first film had flashbacks on Grindelwald or parts of actual imagery where you saw Johnny Depp as Grindelwald, I know that was the big reveal of, well, the fact that they didn't even put Johnny Depp in the initial credits to hide that. And then it was, oh my goodness, it's Johnny Depp as Grindelwald. That was the big reveal. But yeah, it just felt disjointed because all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is the character and it's a completely different person. But we've seen nothing of him before, so
And they played so differently as well.
yeah.
I mean, there's nothing about Johnny Depp's performance that makes me think of Colin Farrell.
Yes. Oh my God. I can't connect them. Cannot connect them.
But then I guess, does that make Grindelwald a really great actor?
Yeah, but it is at the sacrifice of, the audience's coherence and enjoyment that you can't connect to.
Speaking of performances that connect to other performances, can we talk about Eddie Redmayne's Matt Smith impression?
Yes, Matt Smith was going to be... He was the fan cast for...
Was he actually?
Yeah, he
I
was
didn't know that. Was he actually?
He was. And then, Eddie Redmayne shows up and he's literally dressed like the 11th Doctor, and he's got like the same hair with the swooping, fringe, and he's got the same boots.
A bow tie.
Yeah. It's really on the nose, and it would have been fantastic, but I think Eddie Redmayne does a great job. And
He does a good Matt Smith impression.
He does, yeah.
I don't connect with him at all. And I feel like a lot of this is an issue with the writing as well, but like the emotional moments are not earned at all. Like in the first film, how long? It's like a day and a half, the first film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like he's met Tina, and then like as he's leaving, it's like, I'm gonna miss you so much. It's like,
Well, they do get married in future. That's been in the canon
alert.
established for like 20 years now.
well, that's great, but after a day and a half, you're having a little teary.
Well, that's the thing with films, is that they go for like 90 minutes or 2 hours, and you can connect and really identify with those characters just within a few moments.
With the Fantastic Beasts, I think, because it was a day and a half, but as Matt said, it's suddenly there was all this emotion there, whereas I think Newt Scamander, he's meant to be quite a blocked off character. He's not
very kind of, yeah.
He's not into humans. That's it. He's very much about looking after the beasts and trying to do the right thing by them, and he almost distances himself from other wizards because he's awkward. He's not social.
I do appreciate that he is, he's not like Macho Man.
Very soft.
Well,
Whereas I
yeah,
think Matt
he's
Smith might have
sensitive, but like he is like the more sort of sensitive Matt Smith moments. He is like an impression of that. But I do appreciate that he is a man of action, but he's not like sacrificing, his softer side to go do it. He's not like, man up and he straps on, the wizarding guns. And another point about the casting, we've gone and got Jude Law as Dumbledore. I find it hard to connect that Dumbledore to the Dumbledore we later know.
Yeah,
and especially knowing...
he suffers from Obi-Wan syndrome in that in just like 10 years he goes from Jude Law to Michael Gambon.
What happened in those 20 years?
Something
Not even
aged.
20 years, it was
He
12.
worked in the education system.
It really hit him at the end.
Well,
'Cause
that was another thing that was brought up, I noticed, was the fact that McGonagall was in... McGonagall is in the second movie, and she's quite this young...
A fox.
Yeah, she's a young woman, and then...
and she's not meant to be that young
No.
in the thing.
Maggie Smith still appears in the 40s.
Yeah.
In the flashback.
Yeah.
Again, what happened?
Yeah.
I mean, she was already in the education system, so what...
That's one thing with these films that they just sort of disregard. And it's the original. It's the same writer. It's original author. It's not like you've gone and got some screenwriter who's like chopping and changing and...
We know this author is no stranger to ludicrous retcons. So don't worry
She
about
who now shall not be named.
it. Yeah.
There we go, she's living up to her character. So there was a lot of characters introduced in Grindelwald.
It was cool to see Nicholas Flamel, though. I remember
Oh,
that.
he was my favourite.
That was kind of cute to
100%.
see him.
There's quite a few Easter eggs, like, you know, he opens a thing and it like lingers on the Philosopher's Stone, sitting there on its plinth, glowing, and other things like that.
The foreshadowing kind of thing.
Speaking of, Nagini, not a fan of that.
Voldemort's pet snake, and she's now an Asian lady who can transform into a snake and gets stuck as a snake the older she gets.
And so she was hanging out with Grindelwald, wasn't she?
No, that's the thing. She was friends with Credence. They were in the circus together.
Oh, yeah.
And in the end of Crimes of Grindelwald, Credence goes with Grindelwald, but Nagini stays with Newt.
Yeah, so that was...
She's not even evil. She's just she's scared.
She's not even anything, really. Like,
No.
rewatching it,
Does she talk? Really?
She has a few lines here and there.
That's exactly. I remember her because of it's Nagini, but
Yeah,
there was nothing about the character that, even though she spent the entire movie building up this relationship with Credence, almost literally, I think they were sort of teetering on becoming a love interest partnership, and then Credence goes off and she's like, no, I'm going the other way. Never mind.
Yeah.
Which Queenie does too.
And the fact that, like, even in the first film, this is the earliest point in her chronology that we see her. That kind of sours her brutal murder in film 8.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? It's like...
Neville chops her head off.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like in the 8th, in Harry Potter, without all this backstory, it's just like, oh, big scary snake that's keeping Wizard Hitler alive. Oh, kill it. Yes, we got him.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, this is a woman who just didn't do anyone any harm.
She was scared, yeah. But also it makes you wonder what happened. I mean, obviously the next 3 movies with Fantastic Beasts might cover this, but there's, 40? How many years between the first Harry Potter and where we are currently, 1927?
60.
60 years, yeah.
So what is she doing for that 60 years? Because she obviously doesn't join Voldemort until after he's defeated by Harry Potter. One would assume. Or actually, no, shortly before then, if she is a Horcrux. But what is she doing for that 60 years? Does this mean she gets stuck as a snake sometime soon and she's just hanging out somewhere as a snake until Voldemort picks her up?
And
or
does she get radicalised or
something?
is
She a part of Voldemort's crew and then she gets stuck? And
But, like, no matter what atrocities she commits, the fact that we've seen her vulnerable to start with just ruins it. And we know it's not going to be complex character development. We know that's not going to happen.
No. I mean, it's like you look at Jake Lloyd, Anakin Skywalker, compared to Darth Vader. But even then, it's more of a dramatic leap between those, between human Nagini and evil snake Nagini. It's like, it's worlds apart, yeah, and it is really going to be
how
glossed
are they going to
over.
mash this together?
Yeah.
Well, she'll probably appear in the Quidditch book. In the Quidditch movies. She'll rig the scores.
Something like that.
Talking of them, sorry.
I was going to say, just obviously now mentioning it, it's not something I put a lot of thought into until we just mentioned it now, but I think the smartest thing for them to do is she remains human for the rest of the Fantastic Beasts films. And because then it can be alluded that she joins Voldemort's ranks as a human and then becomes stuck as a snake. Otherwise, the question is going to be, what was she doing for 60 years as a snake? So I think that's probably the smartest thing.
It would be a really good idea for them to show her doing something really horrible and premeditated where she knows the outcome is that she gets turned into a snake for doing it. Like some kind of trade-off that really hurts someone else because she does this out of spite or something. Don't know how they'd get her character there, but the becoming a snake needs to be... It can't be a punishment necessarily for her.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh, she got punished by turning into a snake and then she got brutally murdered.
Yeah.
And then
they need to destroy her character. And perhaps they've set that up by keeping her with Newt, so there is some kind of massive betrayal down the track.
Potentially.
That she goes against them.
It's funny we've talked about the character more than she was on screen. Probably given it more thought than...
Let's talk about how Kowalski's story was neatly wrapped up in the first film, and then they needed to make a sequel, so they just forgot about it.
The first film is a fantastic standalone, and without all the Grindelwald stuff, it would be perfect. You know, it's a great ending where he goes on this adventure, but then because of his circumstances as a nomad, he has to forget it all.
But he's happy.
He's happy, and then at the end, I mean, Queenie comes in, and talking about betrayals, I mean, Queenie was one of my favourite characters in the first film. And in this one, she can read people's minds. That's her natural ability. So she's always somewhat been, you know, distance from other people. And she did start this relationship with Jacob. And then going into the second film, she's now convinced that he doesn't want to be with her. So she's gone and poisoned him to make him fall in love with her.
Remind me, like, because he had to forget about the wizards and stuff. And at the start...
When she walked into the bakery at the end of the movie, everything came back to him. It turns out that they had a love that was stronger than getting his memory erased. and it is that he's still in love with her, but the current laws in America is against nomads and wizards getting married.
Oh, we've got some nice segregation.
So, yeah, between two white people. So Jacob does love her, but he doesn't want to get married because he knows it's against the rules. He also has some idea of what Queenie could potentially face if they do elope. So he's against just getting married, but he still loves her. And her hypnotizing that she does to him
It was a love potion, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not done to keep him in love with her because he loves her, but it's to trick him into thinking that they should get married, because that was the whole thing of... He goes, oh, we're going to get married. And Newt finds that really strange because he must have known that Jacob wouldn't go against the wizarding rules as such of getting married. And that's when he picks up he's under the influence of a spell. So I think it's not that Queenie was trying to keep him in love. It's that she was trying to break the rules. And then later down the track, she's frustrated that those rules are in place. And so she goes and radicalizes as such. But it's such a big jump of character development.
It is, and she's literally at the end like hanging off Grindelwald's arm.
Yeah, because at first I sort of thought maybe she's doing it and she's got something in mind that she might, like she gets into Grindelwald's group and then does something to try and help them win the battle. But the fact is that she had to cross across that flame to show her loyalty to Grindelwald, and she does it. So there's something in her where she actually is determined and believes in what he's saying. And again, I think it's out of love. She's frustrated and she's doing the whole, I want to be with you, so I'm going to do what I can to get there.
This whole like radicalizing people it's very topical at the moment. I mean, it's kind of a bit 5 years ago, but I mean it's always going to be relevant. But it's such a serious issue that you do have to give it time, and maybe they will in the next film, but they didn't really give it any time.
No.
Yeah, this
still
film
18 months.
This film just feels like a stepping stone to things in future. It doesn't feel like its own thing.
So the first one.
Yeah, but even that, like I said, you could have cut out all the Grindelwalds. There's a whole plot in that first film with John Voight.
There is, yeah.
With John Voight's character, and much like the first Transformers film, he's just dumped and forgotten about. He was in that film as well. It could have just been like a nice, Newt Scamander meets his future wife and that, and then it becomes like the first step in, Wizard World War One. And speaking of World War, there's a whole friggin', premonition sort of slideshow that all these radicalized wizards, what's coming, that humans are going to, do World War II in 15 years, and there's going to be like the atom bomb, and there's going to be devastated cities across Europe. And that's what he uses to try and justify and turn all these wizards against, the non-magical people. And that's what scares a lot of people. to sort of, going back to your Artemis Fowl thing, it's sort of, radicalising the magical underclass to sort of rise up against the non-magical
Which
upper
I
class.
actually don't mind. I think it's really interesting. And that's, to go back to last week's episode, that's something that Artemis Fowl missed a trick with, is the humans are the bad guys look at things. Like, look at your own society and imagine how someone else would see it. And that's actually a strength of this franchise. Explored more here than in Harry Potter, just with that scene, which is actually quite interesting, I think.
And I think as well, Fantastic Beasts and then Crimes of Grindelwald, it's set late 1920s. So very obviously forefront of everyone's mind is that they've just come out of World War One. They were sort of seeing the effects of the war. So then if he goes, well, there's another war coming, and they think, well, if this one's worse than the first, what are the effects going to be like afterwards? And everything starts playing into your mind at that point. And what if the bad guys win? And so, yeah, if someone comes up with these promises of a better event or outcome, then that's how he kinds of tricks people, I guess.
Yeah. A character we haven't touched upon is Leta Lestrange, who has a bit of a strange plotline. You know, she was a former love interest of Newt's, who was teased in the first film, shows up in the second one and gets brutally killed. But there's this whole plotline involving her and the Credence character and the Dumbledore reveal at the end of the film.
Oh my God.
Aurelius Dumbledore, the secret brother, all that.
Doesn't make sense.
What a lame trope. It's in all media at the moment.
And again, they've gone and chucked this in the last couple of scenes of the film, and then it's
It's the same thing
it's
they did
open, so
with Grindelwald,
if it's going to become a trend, we've still got 2 more movies that we have to get through before they
we have to get through.
coming from the fan.
I think it's just an extra level of just like mind warping,
Yeah.
stuff just to throw people off the scent. I think as well, I think it's just a mystery for mystery's sake as well, like because there is such an obsession now about subverting the audience's expectations that, they've just gone and thrown in more clues and scraps, to sort of throw people off the scent because they don't want people to figure out their mystery before it happens.
Yeah, and I'm also kind of hoping that perhaps they have chucked so much into these first 2 movies that they're going to be spending the next 3 unwrapping everything, because there's just so much. They're going for 3 years between each movie. The next one isn't due to be released until November next year, 2021. In a society where everything is very now, they've got to be careful that they don't lose the interest of people.
Well, there's other
people are going to be keen just to have movies full stop, because there's not going to be the same steady stream for the next 24 months, I reckon.
Thank you for listening to our ramble about the Fantastic Beasts movies. You can watch them both on Netflix if you desire, as well as all the other Harry Potter films if you want to do that as well. Anyway, I'm Royce.
I'm Paige.
I'm Matt.
And we'll be back next week. Don't know what with, but we'll see you then. Bye for now.